Alright guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm glad you guys are joining me again. I am going to paint a landscape painting today. I'm actually going to use some reference material that I have from my trip to Thomas, West Virginia, up to the gallery. I took some pictures on the way up there. So I'm going to use that reference material today. I'm going to use that so I can get a little bit more detail, hopefully do a little bit more realistic painting this time than I usually do. So let's go ahead and get started. One thing, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and get started and lay in kind of like a foundation for this piece and lay that first layer down. Go ahead and pull out your titanium white. We're going to use that for the sky. We're going to use titanium white, blue, cobalt blue, and a cadmium yellow. Alright, so let's go ahead and pull those out. Get your palette ready. The sky is pretty light in my reference material, so if you're going by some kind of reference material that you're doing, you don't have the material that you have that you want to use that might be important to you on one of your trips somewhere. That you can do whatever kind of landscape, I guess, right? Most everything will happen a third way up the bottom of the painting. You have a big pine tree that's going to go right here. That's good. I give a little bit more interest to the top of the painting because there's not going to be much there, obviously. I'm just going to try to mix this up slightly. A big versatile paintbrush, something that's fairly big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this sky a little bit, and then I'm going to work down the painting from top to bottom. I'm going to put my horizon line somewhere about right here, and I'm going to go ahead and switch this over to time lapse so you guys can see that process. I won't have much to say until I get to the foreground of the video. Alright guys. Okay, now that I got my sky laid in pretty much how I want it to be, I'm going to come back in later change it up a little bit. I just want to get the structure, the form down, how I want it, where I want the sky to basically end for my horizon. I'm going to go in and show you what I want to do with this horizon line on real-time video instead of you seeing it through just the time lapse and stuff. Because what's going to happen here is pretty important for the rest of the painting, I believe. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to gray out. This is always going to be like a hillside back here, and it's green, but it's going to be a little bit more grayed out. It's going to be a little lighter green color than what you might expect. Actually sees things as the further things are away from us, all that atmosphere in between us and that object, it becomes a little bit more bluish color, a little bit more grayish. So we're going to put that in there as that background. Pretty grayed out. But we want to be able to see. It's a lot darker than our sky, but it's not going to be nearly as dark as the foreground. So we have to make adjustments for it. What I'm putting in there right now might not be exactly the way that it needs to be. These are things we can go back and adjust later on. I don't even want it to be that high, so I want it to be about that range there. So I'm actually going to go pull that first part out of there, like that. Pull that out. To pull something out, you can just wet your brush down, clean your brush out, and pull across it. Wiping it off. I'll also use paper towels and stuff like that to wipe off, which do right now for this, because I don't want that to be there at all. That's going to be part of the sky. I add a little bit of white to it. See how it grays it out? Pushes it back a little bit, pushes it back into the distance, right? So the eye believes that it is further away. What we're creating is a bunch of illusion here with our artwork, being an artist. It's a bunch of illusions, right? So it's on a flat surface, obviously, on a two-dimensional canvas. We're trying to make it three-dimensional with some distance. That to me looks okay. It's definitely going to be a little bit more blue. But I just kind of wanted to explain it a little bit to you. And why it's going to look different. Definitely not going to be that. But those are, that right there is going to be like basically a hillside. And I'm going to make it even lighter than that probably, and I'm going to go in and make these look like tiny little trees back here, so it's not going to stay looking like that. But I hope that gets like kind of my point across about how the background needs to look like it's more in the distance. Alright guys, I'll take you back to the timeline. Following along, or if you want to paint yourself and you're just looking for some kind of idea of how to get it done, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want, if you're working from a reference material for sure, you're going to want to block in the areas where the subject matter is, where your objects are going to be, where you want them laid out. You don't have to do any kind of detail to them at all. You just want to kind of get the composition right at this point, where everything is supposed to be, the placement of things. Also too, you might want to start at this stage looking at the values of the paint. So the dark to light tonal value changes in the painting. So that'll help out a little bit there, and it'll steer you towards the right direction of the piece as far as the composition and the values go. Later on, you can go back in and add all your detail and make it look more realistic and all of those things. These things don't even be done yet. Honestly, you could probably go in and do a painting like this and just leave it alone without going any further with it. Be like an abstract landscape painting kind of. Alright, so I just wanted to stop right there and let you know that stuff. I'll take you back to the timelines. Okay, so you see here how far we've gotten today with the painting. We worked on it for maybe an hour or two. Not work too long on it. So it's basically, you could call it finished right now, really, I think. But I want to go back in and add a little bit more detail to it. I want it to be more realistic. I don't have to do a whole lot to it, but I'm going to stop there for today, and I'll come back to it tomorrow and take another look at it. Sometimes you have to step back away from the piece for a little while, look at it a little bit longer to see where you should go from there. Alright guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so we're actually on day 3 of this this little painting here. Usually I don't take 3 days on a painting this size, but wanted to go back in and fix a few of the problems that I have with it. Not a whole lot to do. I'm gonna make the colors a little bit more neutral, a little bit more gray, I guess I would say. And I'm going to make these trees a little larger and this building here a little smaller. So let's go ahead and get started. So here is the finished piece. I hope you guys like it. I'm going to call it finished. Alright guys, thanks for watching.